I'll tell you, I do not miss living in New York during the holidays. Hawkeye has started up, and I would have had this out earlier in the day, except that I woke up this morning and I thought, you know what, I'll have time to watch that before I do my Twitch streaming, Council of Geeks on Twitch, every Wednesday and every Friday, though not this one coming. It's a holiday weekend. Uh, Join, but anyways. Other than my shameless self promotion, I fired it up and I'm like, I'll watch the episode and then I'll review it. I'll have time before the stream starts. And then I'm like, oh, it's the first two episodes. I won't have time. So I had to get to it a little bit later in the day. So this is the show that, well, ostensibly focuses on Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye. I don't think they've established whether or not he's supposed to be retired or semi-retired, but he's certainly supposed to be on vacation when this is taking place. So he is in New York for the holidays with his family, and he gets tangled up in the goings-on of the person who I actually think has, at least at this point, 2 episodes in, a stronger claim to main character status, which is Kate Bishop. Now, Kate Bishop is a character who I know of, but have not read very much of. So there's certain things I'm going to say about her portrayal in this, and I'll probably note it again as I go along. I do not know how accurate this version of Kate Bishop is. I know it's accurate to her age, certainly. I don't know how accurate this is to her characterization. I don't know how accurate it is to her background details. And the only reason I say that is because if I talk about some things, either positively or negatively about the character, and you're going to drop in the comments and say, yeah, but in the comics it's this. It's like, yeah, okay, I don't know that though. That is no place in this review. So the vibe of it, well, let's actually back up. The marketing, the vibe was very diehard, very sort of guy who is just trying to get through, a bit of a piece of his life, and this nonsense just comes up. And it's not devoid of that, at least as far as Clint's aspect of the story goes. But like I said, Kate kind of has a stronger claim to main character status than he does. And I'm not completely on her wavelength. I don't know if the issue is that maybe the marketing should have put her more front and center so that I didn't feel like she was pulling away from the story I thought I was being sold and was excited to see. And again, that might be a marketing problem. That might not actually be a problem with the show itself. But overall, performances are good and solid. It is appropriately scaled. It seems to be dealing with ground level street stuff. Certain amount of conspiracy nonsense that I'm sure will go somewhere at some point. I don't know. But it's decent so far. It's sort of where I'm at. It's hard for me to get hyped over because, like I said, partially I was really excited to sort of see Clint in this, I'm getting too old for this kind of mode. And I did get some of that, but not nearly as much as I was expecting. Maybe if I'd taken the time to watch the stuff a second time, better understanding what it's going to be, maybe I'd like it better. I think the thing with Kate, again, she's well performed, and I do like her attitude in terms of the general projection, her sort of way that she improvises her way through things. Like that moment where she had pretended to be a waiter and was somewhere she wasn't supposed to be, and had told one guy, yo, no, Gary told me to be here. And this other guy shows up. Who told you to be here? Like, Gary did. I'm Gary. Who are you? You don't even remember my name. Well, I can't do this anymore, Gary. I quit. And so, like, that sort of way of just trying to maneuver herself out of a situation, I liked and I enjoyed that. But there's things about her character that I don't care about all that much. And again, maybe it's accurate to the comments, maybe it's not. But she has a sense of recklessness and entitlement that I'm not going to say are inherently bad qualities, but given that I kind of came into this looking for the character who was a little bit of a grizzled veteran and knew what he was doing, this sort of reckless entitlement wasn't what I came for. So I don't know how much of it is meant to reflect her age, her privilege, or both. I don't know if the character is rich in the comics. I will say, though, I felt that was really distancing. It made it a lot harder for me to connect and relate to her. Because let me put it this way. I think that something like the bell tower scene towards the beginning of the first episode, I'm just going to talk about these freely, so I hope you've seen them. I think a scene like that would have gone down much better for me if she had a more humble background, because I could have read that as she, maybe hasn't fully thought through her actions to a certain extent, but maybe she's also just doing something a little bit stupid because she wants to prove herself, because that's kind of part of what drives her. But given her background and that the opening scene with her shows her in a freaking penthouse, my immediate thought is, you spoiled brat. You are just used to never having to deal with consequences of your actions, aren't you? And it makes me not like her. Now, like I said, when I actually see her dynamic with characters and see her interact with them, I do like that. But right now I've got this clash going. Or even like her confrontation with her mother's fiance, who, like, oh God, he feels like he's out of a freaking made-for-TV Disney movie from the 90s. He feels like one of the bad fiancés from like the latest Parent Trap remake or something. So I don't like him. Like, I just think he's a insanely shallow and useless character. I mean, I'm sure he has a narrative plot function, I don't doubt, but like, I have no use for this guy. But when she confronts him, she does something mildly, vaguely clever, but when she starts being like, no, but see, I proved he's a liar, she's not coming across like she did something clever. She's coming across like, look, just give me what I want. I am owed it. That's just it's just how the attitude reads to me. And I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it doesn't endear her to me very much. And even towards the very end, like, just like the moment when she crashes through the skylight and, all these gangsters are there and they're all pointing guns, and it's like, oh, didn't realize we were supposed to bring a gun. In the hands of a character with a different background, that might have been just sort of making light of a dark moment. Instead, it just, again, it feels like that sense of entitlement. Like, you really thought your life has gone in such a way that you thought you could just show up with a bow and arrow and everything would go your way. Really. And like, and yes, I know, oh, but she's got some trauma because her dad died. Yeah, let's give another hero daddy issues, because that's the most original freaking thing on the planet. I will say I am glad that the callback was to the invasion of New York by the Chitauri and not the blip. Like, I get that the blip was a major thing for the MCU and all the characters who either were gone for a while or had to keep carrying on when half the world was gone. I get that it's a big deal, but like, it's nice to remember, like, if you're looking for backstory trauma, we got other stuff we can pull from. So, cool. I dug that. That was a good call. I suppose I can't not bring up Rogers the Musical. Couple of things I liked about this. First of all, I spotted Adam Pascal immediately. He's only in like 2 shots, and actually I was kind of like, part of me was like, was that it? I don't know. But then, like, I'm listening to the singing and I hear his voice. I'm like, no, I know that voice. That is definitely Adam Pascal. So I like, and looking it up, I guess they got a bunch of Broadway, either current or former stars to be in that scene, which is very cool. So I like that. Just the feel of it is fun, and I would not be a million miles shocked if they, I would be surprised if they for real staged that show as we saw it. I would not be incredibly shocked if they like put together a highlight reel of Rogers the Musical, like as something for fun. I could see them doing that. But here's the thing that I really liked about that scene. And actually, this is one of the things I've liked about Clint in general, so it's kind of feed into that. I like that Clint watching that, you can tell it was hard for him. Now, the lazy way to do that would have been, since he's the one with no powers, he's the one with the antiquated weapon. The easy way to play that would have been, he's watching the stage version of Hawkeye be treated as a joke, or the stage version of Hawkeye isn't even there. That would have been the easy, lazy way to play his discomfort. Instead, it zeroes in on his face and then the Broadway performer playing Natasha. And you get that sense of it's hard for him to be reminded of what he's lost. That was well played. And just in general, the fact that as many people recognize him as they do is nice. Because like part of me, I don't think I vocalized this before. Part of me was worried that they were going to really play up the well, he's the most anonymous Avenger, nobody knows him kind of angle, like for comedy. But they don't do it at all. Which again, that's nice. That was something I was afraid they might do, and they didn't. That said, I don't love the whole LARP scene, and not because like I'm a LARPer, I'm not. And not even that it was that disrespectful to LARPers and treated them like big, massive idiots, because it didn't, not really. But it's just, I actually tweeted this out. I can always tell when there's going to be cringe humor coming up, awkward humor, because the music always does the same stuff. It always, no matter what the show or the movie is, the music goes into this light, bouncy, this sort of just slightly off-putting, and they'll string out the woodwinds in this kind of, again, sort of light, bouncy but slightly off-putting way. I can catch that music immediately, and I know it's signaling a cringe comedy moment, and yeah, it was. Not by far not the most painful, but I hate cringe humor so much. I hate watching characters have to go through motions that just make them feel awkward and uncomfortable. I don't enjoy it. I'm not going to say it never, ever, ever works, because pretty much like everything I don't like as a general rule, yes, there's probably been times where it has in fact worked for me. But as a rule of thumb, I don't like it. Don't like it at all. I've no idea where the plot's going. It's weird to me that the Ronin suit matters that much. Actually, you know what was weird to me? Did that thing not burn in the fire? Even get slightly scorched? What's that thing made out of? Now, so far, it looks like they aren't building this idea that, like, the suit itself is, I don't know, powered or whatnot, which honestly would have been kind of dumb. But instead, it seems to be more about what it represents, because the things he did while in that suit, those things are liable to bite him or anyone else associated with the suit in the ass. And that's an angle that works for me. I can deal with that. I like that they have played up his hearing aid. I like the little montage of explosions and stuff he's been through. You know, when Kate asks him, "Oh, what happened?" And it's just like everything. At the end of the day, he's a very skilled guy, but he's just a guy, and he's just been near too much stuff blowing up. So that was well done. We get the introduction of Echo, who I guess is our antagonist. I know almost nothing about Echo, except the fact that she's getting a spinoff, which has already been announced, which is A, ballsy, and B, feels like a spoiler in and of itself, because if she's getting a spinoff, then that means that by the end of this, she's either going to turn out to be a good guy or is going to be turned away from whatever path of not good guyness she's currently on, because I don't think Marvel is at a point where they're going to try and make a series starring a flat out villain. They didn't even do that with Loki. So I don't know anything about Echo, so I have no real expectations there. It became a strange moment just because I already know there's going to be a spinoff. And I kind of wish I didn't know that already. But for the most part, it's fine. I think as far as the Marvel stuff so far, I feel like at this point, we'll see. At this point, this is the most unassuming and has the potential to be the least consequential. And I don't mean like in terms of like, ooh, impact on the canon, like whatever. I'm talking about ambition. This seems the least ambitious, which is not necessarily a criticism. Sometimes it's nice to do something more low-key, a little bit more laid back and relaxed, and just vibe with that. I don't have a problem with that, but it's part of the impact of that is it hasn't really grabbed me yet. I'm enjoying it well enough, some of my issues with Kate aside, but it's just kind of there right now. It's just a thing I'm going to be watching on Wednesdays for a bit. And I'll be curious to see where it goes. And I'm kind of hoping that it picks up a little bit. But this might be one of those that I enjoy as I watch it, but it doesn't stick with me, which is fine. Not everything has to be the best thing ever. But Hawkeye, what did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Like, share, subscribe. Got the Patreon. That's how I pay my bills. No big pressure on that, though. It's of great help to me, but, you know, we take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. Hey, if you're sticking around through the credits, might as well hear some names read out. My Patreon helps support this, and in particular, I want to thank Raven McBain, Bookworm, MJ, Tracy Scrabbit, Vincent Paul Bartolucci, Kaylin Schwartz, Edalyn, Robin Moore, Ross Schultz, Shayla Gourlay. Want to hear me mispronounce your name? Check out the rewards on the Patreon.